viewers, and welcome to another edition of your program when I talk to the camera with me, Konnah Sesay. As President Bio dey clock 4 years in office, we dey talk to civil society activists them today for giving their own point of views them in regards to development na different sectors them na salon ever since way President Bio take up office. Let we listen to them as they tell we what their opinions them. Hello and welcome to this interview. Mina Konnah Sesay from Sierra Network Press. Please introduce yourself.
Mina Edmond Abu Jr., the Executive Director, Native Consulting Research Center.
All right. Can we small talk about waiting the Native Consortium they all about?
Well, of course, Native Consortium they deal with economic justice, consumer protection, social protection, and people in livelihood. Now they deal with basically economic justice. Now done it for more than 20 years.
All right. Come April 4th, President Bio they take 4 years in governance. So, as a civil servant, an expert in that area, tell me about your observations so far through President Bio in 4 years in governance. When you get for do with the justice system, when you get for do with infrastructure, you get for do with in educational aspect.
Okay, well, for the justice system, we think say much to be done, at least, but we get a lot of things for do with the justice system. Take, for instance, the Native Consortium filed a case against the mobile companies, Orange and Africell and Natcom. The judge, Justice Adrian Fisher, when this system, this particular government I appoint as judge, they don't withdraw the file for ruling. It don't take almost 7 months, give a ruling. And they say justice delayed, justice denial. So before we now one parameter with the judge President Bio on the justice system and Justice Chief Justice Babatunde Edwards. You understand? We think say more need for be done on the justice system, on access to justice for the poor. President Bio don't do much yet on that. You understand? And infrastructure, I think say normally we compare the two government the way they don't run salon. The APC they do it more of hardware, more of none of them philosophy, you understand, more of infrastructure. The SL people will know them for be the software. Then they concentrate the zero more on developmental thing they for deal with systems, infrastructural system, for instance, the economy, good governance, you understand. But now we find out say the shift of this particular SLPP don't go, they go like more of half of hardware and software. They do infrastructure back themselves. So they don't try to a little to some extent. And for instance, you don't do a lot of reforms them. Yeah. For instance, the death penalty. But we come on the economic side, if you permit me. When we do normally take for instance public debt, the public debts don't go up because when they look at the economy in three fronts, if we want to assess President Bio on the fiscal, get the monitoring, and then of course the the sovereign debt. So on the fiscal, I think say it don't try a little extent for mobilize more revenue. They mobilize more revenue now. Now you get a single treasury account, which is very good. These are some of the reforms that with the World Bank and the IMF we don't press for. But the spending, we still get over-bloated wage bill, and they get take for instance. I give you one instance: the establishment of the Western area, resident minister Western area, that was a non-starter. We will not be need them. Take for instance, we don't pull Parliament chief them with the pay Parliament chief the salary and fail. That one also they put more pressure on the budget. Then we get revenue on the revenue side, still on the fiscal. On the revenue side, you get in again for instance the marine and fishing. We're supposed to mobilize close about 200 billion. But when we look at the way to they mobilize, what do they collect from the fishing sector, we need to collect beyond 120 billion. So for we on the native constitution, we think say President you need to do more. Because until we begin for generate like 200 because experts don't also able to generate something like about $300 billion on our marine, but because of the poaching, the illegal fishing now, marine and territorial waters, we need to gain more. So President Bio, we need to get more on the revenue side. You find out say now they don't introduce, for instance, the revenue. You find out say NI don't introduce this machine, electronic cash register, which is good. But the implementation, how do they roll them out? We think say then for instance the threshold where they bring account down to 100 million. for the turnover for businesses is wrong, and it is the day for goats and back. Then you find out say come again on still on the fiscal. I don't tell you on the expenditure. I tell you about the revenue and transparency. More, I mean, there is much more transparency. The fight against corruption is much more. But things that we get for instance, the fuel. I mean, you find out say fuel don't go up. You understand? A meter at 6,000, I don't go to 15,000. Well, of course, this last increment you can understand because this last one as a result of the global, the Russia thing, and you don't get a devastated on the citizen. Now, things are hard. Well, of course, though globally, I mean, in fact, the UN food program don't say the world get for suffer starvation and hunger, and we go for everything get for go and it's global, but we get for do a lot of things there for weather this storm. So that's on the fiscal side. On the monetary side, like I can't tell the monetary side for these 4 years, you find out say we the rates are based upon, for instance, the exchange rate. You understand? And then in the exchange rate, how you meet them, you understand? It meets at 800. You understand? Now $1 to US now is about 1.2 million. That's not good. That's not a good one. Now you find out say the bank government is therefore introduce it is therefore do redenomination. A good, but we want to see how. I mean, these are some of the highs and lows, but we want to see how it roll them out, because if you not give them that kind of good publicity, good sensitization, what you get for do, we get for find out say with the face counterfeit money. So on the monetary side, you find out say we not do much it. President Bio not do much it on the monetary side. You understand? That you come to the public debt. I don't tell you the three angle of the economy. You understand? I'm an economic analyst, by the way. Then you come to the public debt. Emit the public debt. Find out say now both foreign and domestic debt stands about $2 billion, which is about 2 point something, which about $2 billion. A midterm, well, a bit low, but now it don't go up. You understand? So our public debt and service in those debts is also a burden on our budget. We don't try for service some loans them actually. President Bio don't try for service some loans them, but we domestic and international debt them is still remain to be high. So that one also is not good for our economy. Not to say that President Bio cut all the debts them. I mean, he inherit some of the debts. But on the flip side, the other side, you find out say ever since the 4 years, the government not ever get a situation where they get for struggle for pay salaries. Like in the last government, they meet the government austerity, wait for pay, because we talk about austerity now, outside government they therefore cut down spending and then mobilize more revenue. But because of one of the biggest reform that President Bio, one of the biggest call on the part, one of the institution of the single treasury account. Also, you find out say every other revenue streams the way the government collected goes and one single treasury, which is a fantastic one for President Bio. And in fact, this time don't help himself for even with the like today, because if you get each, for instance, within a single treasury account, for instance, you get the NATCOM they get a standing account. Also, they pay gateway fees with the telecommunication, the taxes. Now NATCOM in the account too. Now NATCOM not get that car account again. Now everything they go to one basket. That is good for transparency, accountability for the government. So that one is also a good one, you understand, on the economic side. So on the whole, roundly, I go rate President Bio something like about 55 to 60% on the whole.
All right, we go talk about few things within inside the New Direction manifesto. As you don't they talk about the justice system earlier on, making reference to una case where una get. Let me talk about when President Bio come in power, especially in the manifesto. Part 5, page 63 of the manifesto, actually reprimand the APC government in judicial sector at a time when they be there in governance, stating that the executive arm of government gets too much interference inside the judiciary system, will make people get less confidence in the judiciary sector. So you feel say presently people get confidence in the judiciary sector? Is it that President Bio don't do very well in that side and we need for give kudos?
Well, I notice that President Bio really don't do well. I mean, in terms of access to justice to the poor or dispensing of justice, there are some highs and lows. In some fronts, for instance, the hardware, we look at the building, Justice Babatunde Edwards don't try, but you find out say recently they released some tweets that people when not be get bail. That is also good. I don't know if they call it, I know they call it Judicial Week. Who said they release some people who may stay for trial, who will not be getting any trial, whatever. So that is also good, you understand? But there are some still cases we pending. I don't give one. We in a native consultation, we need to do shallow. We need to give general statement. We need to give specific references and examples. I don't give we own example. We're not test case. This not a case. We're not a class action. We it not ever happen in this country. We say citizens they take mobile companies and make we talk about justice. We not call justice normal for between me and Sierra Leonean. How Okudo go able to fight leopard and kill him? Even when the Okudo gets all the rights against the leopard, how big mighty multinational companies like Dande, you understand, we take them to court to muster the courage. Now 7 months. Mark you like they always they say. And what to make at the give these references, section 120, subsection 16 of the 1991 Constitution, and make it clear. It says when the judge withdraw a file for ruling, you understand? Enough for take beyond 3 months. Now justice and official don't take 6 months. More than 3 months. He withdraw this file in August 16th. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. About 8 months. They can say justice delays, justice denied. So for me, that's one instance where of many other instances of and they talk without no apology, without fear or favor, say that now one test, litmus test. That doesn't mean you use them as a broad brush for judge. There are other people in other cases the way they see the wheels of justice, they move faster. You understand?
So if you say there is partiality in justice system?
Well, I'm not going to say that partiality. Maybe sometimes not because sometimes are mobile companies and they are powerful. They have all the money in the world. Maybe sometimes me and Konnah Sesay we get case sometimes the wheels of justice they move faster. So I mean it's a dicey thing. But basically we all experience, and these are some of the things the way they really use as a parameter really for as the not to then Mamiko's case them. Now then case they will not ever happen. That the archery jurisprudence. You understand? So I mean with the 19 and then normally with the C with the Nameka say where we don't check them plus minus. They get some other good parts, some other good score than they, some other cheap thing and the way President Bio don't the way you don't get international accolade. You understand? For instance, the fight against corruption, you understand, and he really don't try. And not to say he's the best, but I mean comparing to other presidents, he's much more better. You understand? And I don't think the international community they look. For instance, where you have for if you're in the EU now. Like where Ukraine, you have for join Euro or the Eurozone, or for instance, EU or NATO. One of the parameters they look at your good governance. They look at you stance of anti-corruption. If you get too much of mafia, if you're the president of mafia, you need to join the EU or you need to join NATO. So I mean, these are some of the benchmarks what they look at. Follow assess a system. Say okay, this is the work or any work. We get a long way for go. Maybe. I can normally say if anybody assess President Bio in 4 years to Ernest Koroma, former President Koroma in 10 years, then that person in a sick, because you need to assess the two at the same time. You understand? Maybe we need to give more time and see how they go forward. But I think say it gets a lot of people within this government where we think say they not really mean well, and with the talk they are also equally corrupt, just like the former government.
All right. Looking into the Sustainable Development Goals and pinpointing poverty as a case study, when you talk about the economic sector in Sierra Leone, you go look at how people poor out there, the rate of poverty in Sierra Leone. Going forward, I mean, for President Bio in last year in office, what do you feel say need for be done for curb this particular issue?
President Bio go for tackle price control. President Bio, there is this good sense. I mean, people let this put price. Sometimes not to even the global law. Now, because we not get a deliberate effort for outside the Minister of Trade, for letting clamp down on traders, on unscrupulous traders where they take advantage. Then you find out that even the transport, you understand? The Minister of Transport is totally aloof. He don't really know what they happen. He don't even know in function. I'm giving specific. I don't want to be generic. You understand? And transport and the price of commodities that for livelihood. Then you get the issue of communication cost, the tariff. You find out saying for the cheating don't go up. now misuse disappearance of top-ups na people in phone. So all of these are back up because be the thing says so this thing that but current NATCOM go change things, but the current NATCOM not change anything. It's the old NATCOM and this current NATCOM. Would they tell you when they talk about because hate any government? Would they tell you if any side they will improve? If improve yourself when they interview me, family when they list me, as long as you dey salary, you go tell me say well improvement dey oh, for instance on the data oh, for instance on the network connectivity oh, we not get improvement yet. Okay. You understand? And that is why we'll be even taking and go court, including the NATCOM, for what we call breach of statutory obligation. If Konnah na born me, Edmond, Konnah as mama or papa, you get that duty, natural duty, because not to me send you for like born me, for like feed me, for like do to take care of me. If you not do them, then a breach. Then make them go some people na how you call them na family support. Some pikin they go to then go say go for the pay. So if a statutory body like NATCOM wait for regulate wait for regulate the sector and wait for protect consumer, if fail from the former government to now it fail, then it means then that's what you say for assess the 4 years is still we're not achieving anything yet. And communication cost the tariff still remain to be high. You understand? Eh? So basically that's what they assess them in 4 years.
As earlier you don't rate President Bio in governance process so far in 4 years in office, in development, in economic development and other areas them. What think will be your message where you left out there as somebody where they work as a civil servant, they represent the general populace of Sierra Leone? What think will be your message? Civil society, activists, where they represent the general populace out there. What you could tell President Bio?
President Bio gets a window for do more. Let it concentrate on people in bread and butter. If we talk about human capital development, and we talk of human capital development, are 3 things. 1, the person in Bel Air. Understand? Number 2, the person in Bel Air. Number 2, INSEF we don't agree with that. The person in health. So the healthcare system also. You understand? We get a long way. The small improvement there, but we need to do more. Then number 3, of we talk about keeping, I don't talk about the belly, I don't talk about the health, the well body. Then number 3, you hate the education. In fact, that's one of the biggest core the way President Bio ever do. The free quality education. Forget about all these nuances. So where is the quality? But for the fact that now, for instance, me na countryman, I get about 3, 4, 5. I get board assistant picking. I get for take about 20 picking them. Now, if I not get for pay now. For the year, they pay something like about what they check with most they pay something like about close to about 10 million on primary secondary school. Now I'm not going for pay down there again, so I don't get a disposable income. You understand? So one for tell President Bio thank you for introducing this free quality education, which is a novel thing. You understand? And they allow more picking them for get access to education. So it don't score major one on that, because even for maintenance not easy. Will not be ever think say it will succeed on that. Then I tell you say on the health system, we get challenges still. With peripheral health system, people are remote. You know, when we talk about health, we don't talk about inside the city. Go to the remote places, you see how they, you understand. Then of course the livelihood issue, you understand, Ubele, you understand, till they don't go up. So President Bio need for control the inside and the. If you listen news, if you look to Kenya, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, they do deliberate efforts for control price. But yeah, price Lebanese them, how you call them, Indians them, then just they wake up, Putin they wake up the next morning and they sell. You see, find out say government they release taxes, they reduce tax. If they give them 0 taxes on wheat, flour, and rice, then you go begin ask why rice they go up, why flour they go up, it's still a go up. Because we need the control, and government needs to do more control, not for just release taxes. So they don't try. They don't try in terms of for give incentive, but the monitor them, for let the businessman not overexploit we. Nine missing.
All right. Plenty thank you to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mina Abdul M. Fatoma, Chief Executive, Campaign for Human Rights and Development International, CHRDI.
As President Bio the clock 4 years in office, come April 4th, I mean, as an expert when he gets for with advocating for human rights, tell me, what are your observations so far in regards to President Bio in government through these 4 years, yeah, so when he gets for with human rights business?
Well, when it comes to human rights, we as a country, we still face a lot of challenges. The laws themselves, not able to guarantee citizens of their rights. I mean, the constitution are one. It not give any guarantee to any Pekin at this country a right to education. It not give any citizens the right to health. It not give any guarantee absolutely. Yeah, like the right to health, the constitution not able for guarantee any citizen of that. Meaning, if the state fail for provide health facility, citizens not get a right to take the government to court. So the lawmaker can say, you're not able for take action against government. And when you look at political manifestos, the promises the key one then they harbor around, the social issues, right to health, education, will improve good road network, will improve on the criminal justice system. But when we get laws the way they also threatening the rights of citizens, we not agree for repeal and replace their law or amend their laws then we continue to see huge challenges. Then added to it, we will get COVID. When state of emergency become, we see how brutal the security sector been there against innocent civilians, and we don't see also the overcrowding of police detention and prison facilities, and we see a lot of backlog of cases. These are all promises the way the government be make while them in opposition say these are areas the way they go address. Like even when you look to the health side, let me say after 3 radius miles you get community health center. We still get challenges. I mean, like my own village, people in the waka, 11 miles for Kanami village, when are the chiefdom headquarter town, 7 miles for just gain access, to primary health care. So when you go Falaba, Karine, you get people where they suffer similar thing, and Pikine also forget access to schools. It's still been challenging at this country. A lot of problem of furniture being available in school, getting a proper infrastructure facility. That chiefdom, or that village forget a proper school, and challenges also forget a teacher. A trained and qualified teacher. We go we go educate the Pekin them, for let them be a better citizen. So these are all challenges, and then you come down to the economy. The inflation, yes, globally it a hit, but looking at this speed way dollar go, more this 2022, it's so alarming. Around 1 million, 50,000 leons, and now you talk about 1,300,000 leons, not from the bank but the black market. And you see property where you been to buy items the way you been to buy 30,000 leons, now 60,000 leons. Like you want some good air condition, for example, LG, where you been to pay for 5 million leons. Now they pay for 7,500,000 leons. So like 2.5 million, just within 12 months. So it clearly shows that say the economy they hit hard. They hit the buttercup, it hits the pepper table, then it hit the shops, then it hits the homes. So it make life become very hard, for families, and more you get government workers and where they hand still 600,000 euros, and you they buy rest 250,000 and upwards. And you transportation. So you actually turn around and say, life is still hard for the people.
I can remember when the SLPP party just came into power. Yes, the slogan way around was that they go address the bread and butter issue. So you raising all these concerns about the economy and all, if you see the people still struggle for bread and butter?
We as a nation, we are still struggling. When you look at the hardship, it cuts across. And you not choose tribe, you not choose political party supporters. The few way they actually enjoy the state resources, they might not feel the weight because they don't want to be sincere to people. Because even you they hand money, if you been a buy certain thing, then 1 million Leone now automatically it's 2 million Leone. You not gonna feel the pain for buying, but you just know that say you don't short of 1 million Leone. Yeah, that things go up, but the rate as which way things are running, I mean, it's a concern for the living condition of people in this country.
Concerns where don't they come out from school picking them, comrade them, teachers them out there, and you raising this point about the way people they suffer in the provinces, school picking and they suffer because of furnitures and all. Is it that the free and quality education need for be questioned?
Well, what it need for be done, the government need for review the entire program of free quality education. They look out for the challenges. One big success story is reducing the school fee from parents, right? Because if you've been a pay 50,000 Leone for one pikin, then you get 4 pikin at school, that's automatically it goes to 200,000 Leones. And they pay you 600,000, like somebody who works for prison, the correctional services. The least worker there are paid 600,000. If you get a pikin, or you get a girl pikin where the university, where they study science, where it be very expensive, and they pay you 7 million Leone as DG. So the reduction, that's the good side of it. But let's look at the transportation. The buses are they enough? We all know it's not enough. Because an entire district then give one bus. For a whole district, we get up to 60,000 pikin them where they go school. What you expect? So the bus only gets facility to the main town, and even the main town, not all the pikin get for really. Then what about the chiefdom and villages them where the other schools and there? So now that make when you go now there's part of the country, you see pikin and they work at 2 miles, 3 miles, for access school on barefoot. The one they were able for provide Okada transport for them pikin them. When they're tired and the beginners sit on at us. So this also forced dropout, even though we get policy where say compulsory education, free education, but yes still we as a country we get challenges and still well we adequately enjoy the facilities that we feature inside them policies and
So come 2023, they go for another election, and this is not the last year for President Bio in term for governance. So what's going to be your message where you left to them?
Well, the thing about before this year done, we get waiting where they pull out with track all the political parties, then maybe submit manifestos during the election, and look at within the activities, either in governance or in opposition. What do you do? So we know, say, when the election they come, they never put forward again. So these are some of the things that we'll need for educate with people there on. You see a lot of people now, the government say, oh, we fulfill all we manifesto promises. But then if you manifesto be say they increase on the justice sector and increase this criminal justice system, increase on access to health, ensure that say you make the economy become healthy and reduce poverty on people, whereby somebody now will work 800,000 because of the current living standard condition in this country, if I be classified as a poor person. Because, basic thing in the way for provide for him picking them, not inside as an adult, they able. You see the country, a lot of people turn beggars. You see somebody dressed decently, a professional working, either be it a nurse, be it a police officer, working for state institution, the voluntary sector, the media, civil society, and other people just turn beggars because the living conditions and the standards, the inflation, and match up to the salary rates of this country. A country, they produce much. So it's a huge burden, and waiting now go like for say we as a people, we need for continue for hold with government accountable.
Thank you very much. That's not the Chief Executive for Campaign for Human Rights and Development International, Abdul M. Fatoma, and you also listen from Edmond Abu from Native Consortium. As them don't tell me but waiting and think about development issues for now President Bio in office. And this fourth year where President Bio don't take up in office, so how them go get in work where he work for Mama Salon. Remember say, me will bring you the program candidate, my name na Konnah Sesay, so say we meet back to a new episode of Talk to the Camera. They say tata.